If you're like me, and you got no life and there's nowhere to go, then tune in to the Animation Truman Show. You'll be glad you did.
And here we are. Poof. Okay, it's Sunday evening, and I have a Zoom call at 6:30. Hey, Ross, how you doing, brother? Okay, so I've got a call, or a Zoom call at 6:30, so till then, I'm just going to kill some time doing some animation work. So, as it happens, today is actually not Krita Day. It is Tuesday, well, I should say Tahoma Day. So, let's pop this one open. How's life in New Zealand? Doing well? I don't. That's a statement or a question. You're doing well. Saying, okay, that's not going to work. Okay, fine. I am. I will say that. Yeah, the last few days, just getting reacclimated to the software has been a bit. Oh, my microphone's off. Hang on. Oh no, it is on. Okay, sorry. Thought my microphone was off there for a half second. Okay, so what do we got? Sunnier by the day. You must be in the southern half of the world. It's getting colder by the day here. Well, actually, today is kind of mild. Actually, it's probably in the 40s. But okay, let's pop this up. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move my YouTube interface over here so I can see the chat, and then I need to open up Vegas so that I can deal with the edit such as it is so far. And so hopefully I won't do too much flopping around. So in my other screen, I am opening up the edit for episode 3. So I mentioned the other day I've done a bit of basically editing, trimming this thing down. So it looks to me like what we've got is we've got all this material that's kind of been done in the past, and then I'm working on tightening up episode 3. So I'm just working on basically the first minute. I've gone through and done some tweaks to some scenes. What sort of tweaks are we talking about? Things like this is a good example. I took this shot here. So these guys come through the, come into the...
Not a sign of Her Highness.
Okay. And what I did was I took, and I'll mute the voice so it doesn't have to keep playing over and over. But what I did was I took this rendered image sequence, brought it into Blender, and added some shape keys and a little bit of grease pencil over top of it so that when he comes through, it kind of shakes some some birds or bats or something out of the brush. And as well, if somebody paid close attention, you would see that there's a little bit of wiggle movement in the leaves and stuff, just enough to make it seem a bit more alive or whatever, So it's little things like that. And say hello to Zuko, the African gray parrot, because he is chirping. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is switch back to this and then switch Vegas to this display. I'll put it on good full so it's as crisp as it can be, and then we can scan forward, and that way when I switch to Tahoma, it'll just take over the screen, and when I switch back to Vegas, which is on my other screen, it'll wake it up and you'll see it in the full screen. That way I don't have to keep changing channels. Okay, so with that, hey Maria, how you doing? It has been ages. Good to see you again. I wondered if you'd be showing up here one of these days. So yeah, seriously, nice to see you. Okay, so this whole sequence, I should mention probably that I have been just slapping in some dummy audio through here. So I've got some voice work to sort of play against that I've just recorded with this microphone I have on my head. So let's see what we've got here.
Morning.
Oh yeah. So I should add another thing. The script, I basically started revisiting the script the other day, and I'm happy to say that really I probably spent a total of 1 working day on the script. Of course, split into 2 days, but and it's probably half to 2/3 of the way there, So I'm feeling pretty good about it, and I've been able to improve a few things and blah blah blah. So
I suppose we'll resume the search in the morning.
Morning? Are you trying to help her escape?
She's here somewhere. I found this near her campsite.
Highness, where? What campsite?
There was a smoldering fire. You couldn't miss it.
Okay, so that's all new. The bit about the smoldering fire, and the reason the voices got quiet is because that's just audio that I brought in with the headset, and I have not normalized it. So, which obviously I could do, but anyway. So let's see here. Mikhail's here too. Hey, Mikhail. Tell your friends we need to start getting the the viewer count up, right? So, but I'm happy to see everybody, sort of starting to show up on a Sunday evening. I think back in the day, I do remember Sundays actually being a pretty good day for live streaming. So I need to switch back to this. Right?
She's here somewhere.
Okay, yeah,
I found this near her campsite.
Highness, where? What campsite?
There was a smoldering fire. You couldn't miss it.
And that blasted kid.
Okay, so then this part is new. There's just some things in the script that I needed to get clarified a bit. So the soldier, the older soldier,
Blasted kid.
what you got to remember is in episode 2, these 2 soldiers wandered into the camp, and Luka sort of scammed his way out of the situation by lying to them, and because obviously they were looking for Tianara. Okay, so if you guys don't remember that could be forgiven because it's been a while. So okay,
It?
And that blasted kid.
I mean, it's possible she came upon the campsite after Luka left.
okay, so that's what we're working on. Is I'm going to tighten up the pencil test, and then I may move on to ink. So therefore, boom. Let's switch to Tahoma, and then what I'm going to do is on my other screen, I'm going to actually put this on the other screen and turn the preview off and switch it to half resolution so I can see everything in the frame. And the reason being, I want to make sure I can get the characterization on these dudes correct. So let us begin. Let us proceed accordingly. All right. And hey, Chizyapo, welcome to the party. So tonight's going to be not a bunch of philosophical rambling and all that. It's going to be basically the real deal here. We're going to do some animation work. So hit the B key. So why Tahoma? Why not Krita today? Nobody asked that, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Basically, it really depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, it's been wonderful to pull up shots in Krita that were done some time ago, and with the latest version of Krita, I haven't had any crashes, no crashes. So maybe we'll get one tonight, but it's been basically 0 crash mode here for this week. And I had another shot with these 2 guys, the soldiers in it, where I was able to take, one of the things that's cool to be able to do is in Krita, you can take a bunch of layers like ink, paint, shadows, all that are in a group, and if you select all, so you select the whole frame and select the group, you can cut and paste the whole group into Tahoma, And so I was able to take an earlier shot. I could show you actually. I believe it would be this one. I took this shot that was originally done in Krita, and I actually put it in 3D space and did a little bit of a camera move. So the camera's pushing in, and you get a little bit of that. For some reason, the word escapes me when you're moving into space and the things that are further away don't move as much as the things in the front. I'm having a brain fart on the word for that. But anyway, that was the idea here. So this shot was actually originally done in Krita, but then touched up in Tahoma. So, anywho, so now I need to go back to what I said I was doing in terms of seeing what I'm doing in the other screen. Okay, so now for those who are wondering why there's all this, I have the trails on my mouse turned on, so hence you're seeing a little bit of just kind of this, like, that craziness with the mouse when I'm drawing. For some things it makes it easier to see. The mouse is pretty much the whole story behind that. Okay, so part of this is just the fun of the exercise of just getting back in the groove of drawing these guys, you know. And again, say hello to Zuko. Zuko's decided he's gonna chirp a lot tonight. He always does. He loves to chirp when I'm live streaming. Well, that's part of the fun, right? So, at Dave, Parallax, yes, thank you, Ross, I appreciate that. I don't know why that word escapes me. It might be early onset dementia, you know, could be that. Okay. Well, looks pretty good. And then he turns. Okay, so I want to just, like I said, I could probably, under many circumstances, I really probably don't need to necessarily even go into the detail in the pencil test stage that I'm going to go into with this particular shot. It's really just, like I said, I'm getting back in the groove, and frankly, it's kind of fun, so what the heck. Like right there, you can see his nose is completely in the wrong place. So let's say there's a guide. Probably it would be there. And I'm finding it really helps to keep the line simple and straight like I'm doing, so that, you know, just get things where they're supposed to be and then make them look right. Ross could probably concur that that might be good policy. Glad to hear your cat's still operational, Maria. So, yeah, little things like that right there. Just doing the work, man. Just doing the work. So, what else is going on in everybody's life? Somebody chime in. If you guys want me to start waxing philosophical, I will, but my basic idea tonight was to keep my opinions more to myself and just, as I say, just kind of do the work. Okay, so that could be tightened up. This is a cool brush. It's like a charcoal pencil kind of thing. It's a my paint brush, so it's like real broad when you're sketching, but then if you push a little harder, it gets thinner. Lets you sort of tighten it up. And now what I'm doing is I'm basically saying, okay, let's get the continuity of all of these lines. Let's make them all look right, you know, kind of thing. So, if we can. Maria, what's going on? Ferdinand Englander is putting me through paces with animation exercise. Okay, good. Learning about flow. Flow, we want to be in the flow state, don't we? That's partly why I've been kind of enjoying doing this again, because I surprise myself, you know. I've actually surprised myself a lot. Because if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd have said all I want to do is swing trade in the markets and just do that. But I had it in the back of my mind that if the conversation with my film distributor went the way it actually did, which I totally thought it would not. I totally thought it would not. That I would you know, that's pretty much still what I'd be doing. But so I'm actually kind of taking a break from the markets. The market's a little undecisive right now anyway. We're probably going to get a little bit of a pullback before we get the final push to. We've been kissing all-time highs, but on the S&P, I should say. But we are kind of due for a bit of a retracement. We'll see. It doesn't matter that much. The cool thing about the market and trading is that every day is an equally as good an opportunity as every other day. And there's no harm in taking some time off or whatever, you know. It's all just a numbers game at the end of the day, pretty much. So that's feeling pretty good, huh? Okay, so now I want to address this. Okay, let's just think about this for a second. Because this is one of those things that's kind of potentially could be a lot of fun here to try to just punch up the quality a bit. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to say, let's push this line here would be pushed back as he's turning his head. It would be pushed back and you get a little bit more of a wrinkle, right? I think. Stuff like that, you know? Now that's actually probably a little bit too much. But, Nugget, have you got an overall story plan for the series or are you winging it as you go? Well, I'm super glad you asked that because I actually consummated my divorce with Dramatica this past week. And I'll tell you the reason why. Okay, so Dramatica is a piece of software and kind of a framework or philosophy for developing screenplays that I've used quite a lot over the last 15 years. But I had to be honest and compare the job I was doing with the job that I've been seeing Valerie doing in the novels that she's written. Now, she hasn't published her novels yet, so I'm not going to say she's a published author. But, and this is a very strange, one of those completely amazing coincidences. Mikhail, it is like gambling in the sense that no matter how good you are at reading price action and no matter how good your indicators are, you can make a trade and it will do exactly the opposite of what you thought. So there is definitely some 50-50 type risk involved. So anyway, the thing that's bizarre about it, and I probably mentioned it here before, is that my partner Valerie, who we've been together for 11 years, is the best author I know, actually. She's right up there with other authors that I really, really like. And I've had many people, you know, because of my career as a filmmaker, I've had people send me scripts and novels, and of course, Yvette was hanging around here for a while, and she's a good writer. But I have pretty strong opinions about what constitutes good writing, and it's just a freaky coincidence of life that the stuff Valerie writes it's freaking engaging. I mean, she really has a great sense of character. And so why do I say this? Well, because the way she writes is literally what was it Mikhail or was it Ross that asked? It was Nutgut 40, so it's Nugget. I should say, what is it? Nugget. I never say that right. But she writes exactly that way. She will enter a story with no clue what's going to happen. It's amazing to me. So she doesn't need the safety net of some sort of outline or plan or anything. Because what she does is she does such a good job of inhabiting the characters and really she tells their lived experience like really, really well. And so she's not afraid to leave something out or make a mistake, because in the real world people make mistakes. Sometimes people don't know all the information and that type of thing. And I've been sufficiently inspired by her abilities to question whether having this safety net of a framework like Dramatica is actually all that helpful. Does it? And the answer is it's helpful, but at the end of the day, the net, you know, let's say time investment and or quality of the finished result, I just don't think is that much better. So with this script, which was Dramatica informed, I decided what I'm going to do is go back to what I did before I ever heard of Dramatica, which is I would just write a beat list. It's the idea, it's the same thing you do when you're drawing or writing a piece of music. There are things that you know where they are, like you can see it, you can visualize it in your mind. There's things you know and there's things you don't know, and you guys have heard me say this before, obviously. You work from the known to the unknown. And so what you do is you put in the stuff you know should be there, and then what that does is it reveals, you start to see the things you couldn't see before, kind of thing. And that's really what a beat list is. You would say, you know, hey, the kids, you know, get in trouble. And then they go to this village. Well, some things happened in between the two, right? So you put down the things you know, and then you just start spreading it out and filling in between. And pretty soon it's gelled into a story, you know. Now, there may indeed be talent involved. I don't know. The talent part would be just having a feel for characters, having a feel for their voices. That's one thing I know I am good at, is giving characters a voice, a unique voice. One of the great sins that many authors commit is they give every character the same voice, and usually it's their voice as the author. And it really makes for lousy reading, to tell you the truth, lousy storytelling. Okay, so we got this shot. Now we got to get to this. Okay, so this is going to be a little trickier. Usually I can handle continuity for like 2 drawings, and then my tendency, because I am not great at this, is I start to lose the characterization around the 3rd drawing. And it's one of the reasons why I've tended to leverage my drawings a lot in the past. Right, there's an example. That line was not right. And so this is what I've been finding. I've been finding I draw more the way I write, which is all I'm trying to do is tune into my feelings, actually, such that when I draw one little stroke and it's not quite in the right place, I stop immediately. Like, stop everything, correct that right now. That's been extremely helpful to me in my drawing. Okay. Now, the issue here would be, let's see, we've got this sort of visor deal. So we got boom, boom, boom. So this needs to be right about there. And there is, I will say, and I just said, you know, correct everything immediately. I will say that there's something right now that I'm feeling about this that doesn't feel right. Like the eyes maybe aren't wide enough from each other or something like that. But I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to keep drawing until I gain a little bit of certainty about what's going on. Oops. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a line right down the middle so I get where the middle of his nose is, and then there's the bottom, so the bottom would be there. Okay, keep it simple. Okay, so now he's starting to emerge. I'm starting to see him. He's got this bump on the ridge of his nose, or a wide ridge. This is the shot where he's going to start talking, so... Whoops, I keep going back 1 frame too far. Let me look at this. Okay, in the old reference frame I'm looking at, yeah, he's got pretty good bags under his eyes, to tell you the truth. But he's also got fairly large eyes, actually. He's annoyed because he realizes right now that that Luka scammed him. Luka, you know, they dealt with Luka in a good-natured way because Luka is kind of a known quantity in Newsy. You know, he's that orphan kid that everybody sees around town, and generally people like him, and blah, blah, blah. He's got a great face, lots of character to it. Thanks.
He's got a great voice, too. This is his voice.
His voice is frankly quite similar to the King's. But I suppose my bandwidth on voices does have its limits. Okay. Okay, let's see what we got here. So that should be about like that. And now this feels like it needs to pull out just a little more. Okay, that'll work. Alright, so now let's get this. Let's say this is somewhat anchored here. So something like that. And so yeah, I'm figuring I'm gonna work until it gets close to time for my Zoom call, and then I'll be calling it a night. Ba-doop boop ba-doop boop. Okay, so that feels pretty good actually. Okay, so the one thing I'm seeing that I don't like is it seems to me that, like I said, this is just a little too close together. Little too close together, people. Okay, I think that'll work. So he's saying, I don't know what he says. I think he says something like, that kid. Blast that kid. I think he says blast that kid. Blast. Alright, so let's just see how this flows. That's pretty good. If the ink and paint can come up to standard, then this will be a nice shot. If. Okay. Now we got up here. We got this line here, to this line here, to this line here. Mm-hmm. And obviously these two frames are going to go by really quick. Even at 8 frames per second, it's, you know, that's what you get. Okay, so this should be probably something like this. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so he's got, I'm going to put it in this frame here. He's got basically something like that as far as his undergarment goes. So, I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, Control C. I'm just going to work backwards. Control, hello, Control, okay, sorry. It's one of the things with Tahoma. If you cut and paste, you better do it immediately, or else it just kind of lets the clipboard go. So I'm going to make this a little narrower and keep it centered. Maybe a little turn like that. And then what I'm going to do is hit Control C and go back to the next one. And then just kind of pull that down there. So it's another one of those sort of known to the unknown kind of things. If you have something that you know you can use in multiple frames, then why not, right? Okay, and so he's going to be talking.
Blast that kid.
Ooh, man, a lot of comments going by. Maria, did you meet Darren T in person? I remember seeing you two on Twitter. Oh, I came to New York City, and I have to tell you, Maria, I was in New York City about 2 months ago, and I thought about looking you up, but I was only there for really 2 full days, and we were so packed with activities that it just wasn't going to be a thing. Okay, so now this guy, okay, I believe Okay, yeah. So there's basically 4 drawings here for this guy. Now he's got... I have to erase this. This is wrong. He doesn't have the... He doesn't have the visor, if you will, on his... Yeah, this is more correct. It's just like a... I don't even know what you'd call it. It's sort of a binding around it. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. My big adventure in New York was going to the Frazetta Museum in Pennsylvania, actually. I think I talked about that in my last... one of my live streams recently. It was pretty cool. Hanging out with Frank Frazetta III and talking to him about... he really... You know, he's a nice guy, and he really enjoys talking about what it was like to be Frank Frazetta's grandkid. Because when he was a kid, they didn't know he was, you know, a famous artist or anything. They had no idea. He was just grandpa. I think that's kind of cool. Okay, so we'll let this turn down a little bit. Now, this is the hardest thing is, you know, just making things 3-dimensional. Okay, so having a sense, I just want to capture the sense of where this line is. That's all. Okay, this is going to be more or less like that, and then it kind of curves a little bit up. But yeah, that's the tricky part, is essentially operating in 3D. So it kind of has one wrinkle to it. Okay, so now here, his mouth is a little, I guess I could have just used the S key, but. So he's a little sheepish because he's kind of the one who pushed to give Luka the benefit of the doubt, kind of thing. Okay, so this drawing that he lands on is the one that's most accurate to what I had before, so I'm just going to go with that and then work backwards. He's kind of an oval-faced kind of guy with a... Well, it's not a goatee because there's no mustache, but it's kind of a beardy thing that's, well, kind of like that. Honestly, that feels a little large to me. So, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to make it a little longer, a little smaller. And then I'm just going to move it around till it kind of feels like it's right. Okay, so then this can be down like that. Whoops. That was not supposed to happen. Okay. Yeah, I've actually worked on this thing for quite a few hours today. I'm getting back. Whoops. Zuko gonna feature. He'll probably get in here somewhere, sometime. I don't have any specific plans at the moment, but I am thinking about that type of thing. There's a situation at the end of this episode where I was thinking that the kids they steal a boat. And what I was thinking was it'd be cool if, as they're finally making their escape, that they're stopped by the guy whose boat they, well, Luka procured. And I thought, okay, so the plot is he's like, what are you doing? But he recognizes Mel as being Asher's boy, quote unquote, which of course surprises Mel, because how does this guy know anything about me, kind of thing. Well, it turns out Asher's reputation spreads somewhat far and wide, and that's this shot with a shrug. Okay. Why did I do that? I think I did this as 2 separate drawings because I figured I'd cut and paste from this one and then just put in the shoulder shrug. So I don't need to concern myself too much with the facial features on that particular shot. This is weird though, because anyway, there was the point of the story was, getting back to the question about Zuko, was yeah, obviously that mouth is way too high. Was that the guy that works on my car, I was thinking about naming the villager whose boat they stole, name him Reuben, because I've got a guy who, just a sweet guy, he always takes care of me when I have any vehicle issue or whatever. And his name's Reuben. He's a Mexican guy, and okay, this face is kind of stretching all over the place. This is like the fear is, you get back in the groove here, and then you kind of realize you suck. We'll see, but I'll do my best. But yeah, I was thinking about that. Put Reuben in the cartoon as a character, just a tiny little bit part. And I thought about it'd be fun or interesting to do that with other people I know. I wouldn't be the first animator to do something of that nature. Okay, so I'm going to take a little risk here and just go do this kind of cheeseball anime style here. And just see if I can. Yeah, this is obviously all out of whack. It's sufficiently out of whack that I just want to erase everything and come back to it. Just redo it when it feels better. Okay, so now his mouth, this has to be out of here. This is kind of what I was talking about feeling it. You just want to feel it. When the lines are going into the right place, you can tell. I mean, you just can feel that it's right. And developing that sensitivity is probably not the worst thing a drawing sort of person might do. Okay, so boom. Okay, so let's just put some guides in here. Okay, that's probably a little bit high. So I'm going to grab this and grab that and just lower it a bit. Okay, so now so you can see his face is squinching. That's not cool. But as I said, Ross, if you've got any tips for people for maintaining continuity from like drawing to drawing, feel free to, hey Max Power, just animating, man. But yeah, feel free to post. Thanks, Max, I appreciate that. I'm just getting back in the groove. So this one's just a debacle, isn't it? It's a debacle. Why, it's a ridiculous debacle. Probably something like that would be better. Yeah, that actually kind of works. We'll see. like I said, oval face. And I'm not sure. Oh, I see. Why did I do that? Oh. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's always a little embarrassing when you're... See right there, see how the what would it be? The perimeter of his jowls is changing shape, clearly. Sometimes it helps me to... I'm sitting here going like this. You guys probably can't really see that I'm doing that, but just to find the shape. Okay, and then let's see. This kind of goes like that. Okay, so it seems to me that maybe this is too high. But I don't know. Making it up as I go along. Okay, B key. Yeah, I'm going to have to make some changes on the shape of this face, I think. Okay, that actually came out okay, but I think the nose is now in the wrong position. Yep, totally. Totally. I'm asking Ross, for you guys who don't know, because Ross, Nagut40, who's in the chat, is a pretty accomplished animator. He knows his stuff, and he's better than me, so... Okay, so a little bit of squash and stretch would be okay, and you can kind of get away with murder when you're transitioning between frames because they go by so fast. So I'm going to keep the stylus really loose right now, so I can just find the positioning of things better. Okay, so that, let me see how this plays. Why don't I do the obvious here, and I'll take this S key. Let's zoom out a bit. Take the S key, grab this, and then I know I'm going to need that here, with the caveat that this is going to be shifted up like that. So we can cheat. Probably if... Okay, that was not supposed to happen. Hit the S key. And since we're doing it this way, I'll just do it this... Move that a little bit too. Same thing over here. Did I just undo my... Okay. My selection. Okay. Really, Tahoma? Seriously? Okay. That's more like it. Okay, S key. And then basically we're going to anchor this like right there. Okay, and then why are we doing that? Well, we're going to take this now, select all of this, Control C, and well, I told you a little bit ago, that's what it does. If you select something and you hit Control C and you don't immediately paste, in other words, if you do anything else before you paste, it loses whatever was on the clipboard. That's just a Tahoma thing. It's always been that way as far as I know. So we'll just erase that, and do it like that. I don't know if it actually makes sense for these to sort of warble out like that, but okay. Okay, so now let's go back here and check out a couple things. Golly, this is going to be probably about like that. Something like that. Okay, so the edge is somewhere in there. Okay, so now we got to go back and kind of do the same thing on the other side. Guess that one probably won't be seen. Something like that. Okay, so let's go back and take a look at what we have.
That blasted kid.
I mean, so his line of dialogue is something like, where the heck is that? I don't have it open. Hang on a second. I gotta go to my bookmarks. Come on, bookmarks. Okay. Okay. So Soldier 2 says, I mean, it's possible she came upon the campsite after Luka left. That's what he says.
That blasted kid.
I mean, it's possible he came upon the campsite after Luka left. Yeah, that's working, guys. I mean, anybody want to disagree? Yeah. I mean, I do need to tighten up the continuity a bit when I ink it, but I like the way his face squunches. I think that worked. So. Boom, ba-boom, boom, boom. So let's zoom in a bit. He would be kind of... Frankly, his eyes would probably be darting while he's talking. I'd probably do well to put the pupils in put the pupils in their own layer so that I can have them dart, you know, like as he's thinking and talking at the same time would be kind of cool. All right, 611. And by the way, I've got my Zoom call in 15 minutes. And I think my beautiful partner Valerie may be getting ready to crash. So if she is, which I suspect she is, then I may go ahead and end the live stream so I can hang out with her for a few minutes before she crashes. I hope no one minds. What do we got here in the comments? Yeah, constantly referring back to your first drawing. Well, that's kind of what I've been doing. Onion skins, I like onion skins sometimes, but usually they put so much crap on the screen that it makes it hard to see what you're doing. And so I find they're kind of more harm than good most of the time. So I've had better luck with going to an earlier frame, and then and as I said, I'm sitting here wiggling my stylus over a line that I need to animate, and then I'll just toggle between them and start, you know, sketching them in. So you getting ready to crash, baby? All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. But I will be continuing this, so I hope you guys liked this session. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I'm going to go hang with Val for a few minutes, and then I've got a Zoom call with family at 6:30. So if nobody wants to object too stringently, then I'm going to go ahead and kill it for tonight, and we'll probably be back tomorrow, actually, because I'm kind of cranking on this thing. Okie doke. So thanks for coming out, and we will see you guys again soon. Ross says hi, Val, by the way. All right, see you guys. Boom.